Dear students, I welcome you all for the new topic, that is design of brakes. Already brakes is covered in theory of machines, where you had find the braking torque or torque capacity of the brake. So theoretical analysis you had carried out. Now what is new in the design of brakes? So in design of brakes, it is important to find out the actual dimensions of the brake, like what should be the dimension of the block, what should be the dimension of the shoe, like this. So these dimensions has to be finalized based on the forces, based on the theoretical aspects of the design. Okay, so let us go through the introduction of brakes. What is brake? Brake is a device used to absorb energy possessed by a moving member. So brake is a device which absorbs the energy, and this energy can be in the form of kinetic energy or in the form of potential energy, or it could be in the form of both. For example, for a vehicle, brakes absorbs kinetic energy of the moving system, whereas in case of elevators, hoist, brake absorb potential energy released by the object during braking period. The brake holds the load, so it absorbs the potential energy in case of hoist. The energy absorbed is converted in the form of heat, and which is dissipated to the surrounding air or lubricating oil. The capacity of the brake or the torque capacity of the brake depends on the unit pressure between the braking surfaces, the coefficient of friction of the material, the peripheral velocity of the braking drum, projected area of friction surfaces, and heat dissipation capacity of the brake. Thus, brake is a friction device which converts power of momentum into heat by means of friction. So basically, as we are going to see the friction elements, so this friction of the block acts as a brake which converts power of momentum into heat by means of friction, and this heat either may be dissipated to the surrounding or to the cooling oil if provided. The various types of brakes are mechanical brakes, hydraulic brakes, air brakes, magnetic brakes, electrical brakes, disc brakes. Many of the applications of these above types of brakes you have seen, and if you wish to go through the details of the types of brakes, you can visit the link provided on the screen. So through this link you can go through the detailed types of brakes. So there are different types of brakes. As far as the syllabus is concerned, we are dealing with mechanical brakes only. So there are so many applications for every type of a brake, and mechanical brakes are generally used in vehicles, bicycles, mopeds, cars, etc. But applications like excavators, we find hydraulic brakes. Air brakes are used in case of some applications like railway, and some mechanical machineries also work on air brakes. In industry where we need no pollution, because as mechanical brakes generates friction, and friction material is dissipated to the surrounding, so it creates pollution to the environment, and in such circumstances we cannot prefer mechanical brakes where we do not need pollution due to friction material, so air brakes are used. Magnetic brakes are also used in railways. When we pull the chain, magnetic brakes are opened. Then electrical brakes, by means of electrical system we can reverse or forward, or we can stop the motion of the shaft, and that works as brake. Disc brakes are very common in use, that you know well. As far as the syllabus is concerned, we are going to see the mechanical brakes, and we'll see in detail what kind of brakes we are going to study in this particular syllabus for design. Now, very first topic and important topic of the discussion for design of brake is energy equation. The energy equations are important because without finding the energy, we cannot find the required capacity of the brake. So capacity of the brake depends on the energy which has to be absorbed by the brake. So the very first step of the design is to find the capacity of the brake, and braking torque capacity of the brake depends on the amount of energy absorbed by the brake. The energy absorbed by the brake can be either, as we had seen, it may be kinetic or it may be potential energy or both. So the kinetic energy absorbed during the braking of linear motion can be given as half m into v1 square minus v2 square, where v1 is the initial velocity of the system and v2 is the retarded velocity of the system when brakes are applied. So the total kinetic energy absorbed by the brake will be given by half m v1 square minus v2 square in case of linear motion. So this equation holds good when we deal with linear motion of a system. When the system have the angular velocity, then the kinetic energy can be found as half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square. So kinetic energy at the initial position minus the kinetic energy at the last, that is after retardation of the system, that can be that will be the total kinetic energy, the difference of which will be the total kinetic energy absorbed by the braking system. So that equation can also be expanded as I is equal to mk square. So we can put I is equal to mk square here, and the equation becomes half mk square omega 1 square minus omega 2 square. So where k is the radius of gyration of the body. Okay. So this is about the kinetic energy of a system when it have linear motion and when it have angular motion. But when many times the energy is not only kinetic energy, it may be the type of potential energy also, like in case of hoist. So the potential energy can be determined by the formula mgh, where m is the mass, g is the gravitational force, and h is the height by which the body is getting lifted or coming down. So that difference is h. So potential energy is given by mgh, and the total kinetic energy, which have the combination of kinetic and potential energy, can be added together by means of all these three formulae, and we can determine the total energy absorbed by the braking system. So to find the braking torque, this total kinetic energy can be equated into mt into theta, where mt is the braking torque and theta is the angle turned during the braking by the drum. So this mt into theta, this formula can be used to find the value of mt, as we will be knowing the value of E and we will be knowing the value of theta. We can find the braking torque of the system used to absorb the energy. So in this way, these equations can be used to find the kinetic energy, potential energy, and the braking torque of any system. So let's see one of the problem on this so that we can understand it more clearly. So in this problem, it is given that a four-wheeled automobile car has total mass of 1000 kg. The moment of inertia of each wheel about a transverse axis through its center of gravity is 0.5 kg meter square. The moment of inertia of the wheel is given to us as 0.5 kg meter square. The rolling radius of wheel is 35.35 meter. The rotating and reciprocating parts of the engine and transmission system are equivalent to the moment of inertia of 2.5 kg meter square, which rotates at 5 times the road wheel speed. So rotational velocity can be considered at 5 times the road wheel speed. For the reciprocating parts and transmission system, the car is traveling at a speed of 100 km per hour on a plain road. When the brakes are applied, the car decelerates at 0.5 g. Therefore, there are brakes on all four wheels. So calculate the energy absorbed by each brake and torque capacity of each brake. So this is a very common example which we come across. A four-wheel automobile car can be considered, which has a 1000 kg weight, and we need to find the braking torque capacity for the particular application. So how can we find the braking torque capacity? So as we had seen before, we need to find the total kinetic energy that has to be absorbed by the brake. So the first step will be to find the total kinetic energy which would be absorbed by each brake. So what is given to us? We have been given that mass of the car is equal to 1000 kg. Then the velocity of the car before braking is given to us as 1000 km per hour. The acceleration rate is 0.5 g. G is nothing but 9.81 meter per second square. there are four wheels, and the moment of inertia for each wheel is given to us as 0.5 kg meter square, that is I is equal to 0.5 kg meter square. R, that is the drum radius, is given to us as 0.35 meter. From the engine and for the engine and transmission system, we have been given that I is equivalent to 0.25 kg meter square, and the speed for this, that is omega, is given to us as 5 times the wheel speed. Okay. Now the total kinetic energy will be the combination of kinetic energy due to the weight of the car, then due to the wheels, the rotational velocity of the wheel, momentum that is generated by the wheels, and the total transmission momentum generated by the transmission system. So the combination of all these three will lead to total energy that has to be absorbed. So each element of the system is going to produce some energy and or impart some energy while moving. So we have to consider each part. So we are considering the element we are dividing the element into three parts. One is the kinetic energy of the car by considering the self weight. Second, the kinetic energy of the wheel. Third, the kinetic energy of the transmission system. So let us come to the first, that is kinetic energy of the car. Now car can be considered as a block of weight, say 1000 kg. The velocity of this block of 1000 kg is 100 km per hour at the beginning. So we consider that v1 is equal to 1000 km per hour, and after braking the car comes to the rest, and therefore v2 becomes 0. And as v2 becomes 0, the kinetic energy of the car can be computed as half m into v1 square minus v2 square. Now v2 is 0, therefore the kinetic energy that is to be absorbed will be equal to half 1000 into, that is v1 square. So v1 is computed in terms of meter per second, that is 27.78, and putting the value of v1 here, we get the kinetic energy equal to 385,802.44 joule. So this is the first part. The second part of the kinetic energy is due to the wheel, the momentum generated by the wheels. So that has to be that momentum has also to be absorbed by the brake, and that's why we need to consider the angular momentum, angular kinetic energy. So that kinetic energy of four wheels can be equal to 4 into half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square. So where omega 1 is the angular velocity of the wheel at the beginning when braking is not done, and omega 2 is the angular velocity of the wheel when brakes are applied. So we consider that after braking the omega 2 becomes 0, and omega 1 is given to us as can be computed as v1 by r. Now v1 is also nothing but the linear velocity, and angular velocity is equal to v by r. So putting the value of r, which is nothing but 0.35 meter. So we put the value of r equal to 0.35 meter, and v1 equal to 27.78 meter per second. Therefore we get omega 1 equal to 79.37 radian per second, and omega 2 is equal to 0. Therefore total kinetic energy of four wheels equal to 4 into half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square, and on putting the omega 2 equal to 0, we get the total kinetic energy of four wheels equal to 6298.81 joule. Now this is the kinetic energy of four wheels. Now kinetic energy of the engine and transmission system can be computed as, now why we are going to consider the engine and transmission system? So engine is independently reciprocating, irrespective of the speed of the car and speed of the wheel. So and also transmission system also have its rotational speed irrespective of all these two, and that's why we need to consider the engine and transmission system also. And it has been given that the rotating and reciprocating parts of the engine and the transmission system are equivalent to the moment of inertia of 2.5 kg meter square, and the velocity of which can be considered as 5 times the road wheel speed. So this was given. So we consider that kinetic energy is equal to half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square, where I is the moment of inertia of the engine and transmission system, and omega 1 is given to us as 5 times the rotational speed of the wheel. So already we have found the value of omega 1. So multiply this value of omega 1, that is 79.37 radian per second, into 5, we get omega 1 equal to 396.83 radian per second. And when we apply brake, we consider that this omega, that is this momentum, comes to 0, and in that way omega 2 can be considered as 0. And when we consider omega 2 as 0, total kinetic energy that has to be absorbed during braking comes to us as half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square. Omega 2 is 0, therefore it becomes half I 2.5 into 396.83 square, and it comes to us as 196,837.97 joule. So the total kinetic energy of the car is 385,802.44 joule. Total kinetic energy of the wheel equal to 6298.81 joule, and the kinetic energy of the engine and transmission system is 196,837.97 joule. So total kinetic energy is equal to kinetic energy of car plus kinetic energy of wheels plus kinetic energy of the transmission system. So adding all these things, we will get the total kinetic energy. And as we have there it is been given that brakes are there in all 4 wheels. So we need to find the capacity of each brake. So capacity will be divided by in all these 4 brakes. So we divide total kinetic energy absorbed by each brake will be equal to 1/4 into summation of all above 3 energies. So we sum up the energies and it comes to us as 147.234 kilojoule. So we get the total kinetic energy that has to be absorbed by each brake. Now we need to find the braking torque capacity. Now braking torque capacity of each brake can be computed by the formula that we know that mt is equal to E by theta, because we had seen in previous case E is equal to mt into theta. Now we are knowing the value of E. Now we need to find the value of theta, that is the angle turn during braking. Now how to compute this value of theta? So we need to find the time first which is required to stop the vehicle. The vehicle time which is required to stop the vehicle can be computed by deceleration rate. Now deceleration rate is 0.5 g. So deceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity. Therefore the change in velocity is v1 minus v2 upon time is nothing but the rate of change of velocity is equal to deceleration rate, that is 0.5 g. So putting the value of g is equal to 9.81 and v1 equal to 27.78, v2 is already known to us as 0, and we can compute the value of t. Therefore t comes to us as 5.66 seconds. Now the time required to stop the vehicle is 5.66 seconds. Therefore the average velocity during the braking period is equal to the omega 1 plus omega 2 by 2, where omega 1 and omega 1 is the velocity of the wheel and omega 2 is the velocity of the wheel at the after braking. Now omega 2 is already considered to be 0. Therefore putting the value of omega 1, we get the average value of average velocity during braking. So it comes to as omega 1 by 2. Therefore omega 1 by 2 is the angular velocity, average angular velocity during braking. Therefore average angular velocity can also be equal to time into the theta, that is theta upon time. Velocity is nothing but the distance upon time. So distance is nothing but angular distance, that is travelled by the wheel. Therefore angular distance travelled by the wheel can be computed as omega 1 by 2, that is the average velocity, into time. Therefore putting the value of omega 1 and time in this equation, we get theta equal to 224.6 radian. So here we come to know the total angle turn during braking, and as we know the total angle turn during braking, we are able to find the value of the braking torque, which is nothing but mt is equal to E upon theta. So putting the value of E and theta in this equation, we get braking torque capacity of each brake as 665.54 Newton meter. So in this way, for the particular application, with the use of energy equation, we are able to find the braking torque which is required to be required for each brake. Okay, let us go to another example. In the second example, we take the example of braking, that is hoist. Okay, so unlike the example of car, so already we had seen the example when the vehicle is moving with the speed and we need to apply the brake. Now here the system is not moving with a high velocity, but the brake has to hold the mass at a particular height. So so this we need to find what is the braking capacity we need to have. So the application is given to us as a mass of 2500 kg is lowered at a velocity of 1.5 meter per second from the drum as shown in the figure. The mass of the drum is 50 kg and its radius of gyration can be taken as 0.7 meter. On applying the brake, the mass is brought to rest at a distance of 0.5 meter. Calculate the energy absorbed by the brake and the torque capacity of the brake. So here we have been given that the mass of this system which has to be lowered is 2500 kg. The velocity by which it is going to come down is 1.5 meter per second, and for the drum the mass is 50 kg and its radius of gyration is given to us as 0.7, and it is going to be lowered by 0.5 meter and then it comes to rest. So the height by which it is going to lower is 0.5 meter, and r is nothing but the distance of the rope from the center of rotation, and that is nothing but the radius of the drum. The diameter of drum is given to us as 1.5 meter, and therefore r is equal to 0.75 meter. Now we need to find first the energy absorbed by the brake, and to find the energy absorbed by the brake, we need to find the kinetic energy of the mass, that is first point. Second, we need to find the kinetic energy of the drum, and we also need to find the potential energy generated by the mass. So kinetic energy of the mass is nothing but half mv square, that is v1 square minus v2 square. Now v2 is 0 again, therefore v1 is given to us as 1.5 meter per second. Therefore, putting the value of m as 2500, v1 as 1.5, we get kinetic energy of the mass while moving is equal to 2812.5 joule. Now kinetic energy of the drum, because of its momentum, can be determined as half I omega 1 square minus omega 2 square, where omega 1 is nothing but v upon r. Now v1 is the velocity when it rotates with 1.5, when the mass travels with 1.5 meter per second, the angular velocity will be equal to v upon r, where r is the radius of drum, that can be taken as 0.75 meter. So omega 1 comes to us as 1.5 upon 0.75, that is 2 radian per second. Now kinetic energy is equal to half mk square into omega 1 square minus omega 2 square, where mk square is nothing but equal to I. Now k is the radius of gyration, which is given to us as 0.7. So taking the value of k as 0.7 and m as 50 kg, which is the mass of the drum given to us, so we get the kinetic energy due to drum is equal to 49 joule. The value is quite lower. Then the potential energy of the mass is equal to mgh. Now total it is going to lower by the height 0.5, and then it is coming to rest. Therefore the potential energy is equal to mgh. Therefore, putting the value of m as 2500, g as 9.81 and h as 0.5, we get potential energy is equal to 12,262.5 joule. Therefore total kinetic energy that has to be absorbed will be equal to the summation of kinetic energy of the mass, then the kinetic energy of the drum, and the potential energy of the mass. Therefore we add all these three, and we get total kinetic energy, and total energy that has to be absorbed during braking will be 15,124 joule. Therefore torque capacity is nothing but, we know, E is equal to mt into theta. Now it is important to find the value of theta first. So theta is the angle turn by the drum during the motion of lowering of the mass. Now the total distance travelled is nothing but 0.5 meter. Therefore theta into radius of the drum will be equal to the distance travelled, that is nothing but the peripheral distance. Therefore theta into radius. Now radius of drum is given to us as 0.75. Therefore theta is equal to 0.5 upon 0.75, and theta comes to us as 0.667 radian. So putting the value of theta in this equation and the E from the above computed value, we get MT, that is the torque capacity, braking torque capacity of the brake equal to 22,686 Newton meter. In this way we understand the importance of the energy equations in finding the total kinetic energy to be absorbed during braking, and thereby to find the braking torque capacity of the brake. Okay, thank you.